What do you think the team needs to do better as you head to Miami for another game?
We have to get our connection defensively, back to where it was at the SMU game and Boston College game. I think right now, the sign of our inexperience is visible via the inconsistency in play. We have stretches where we play fantastic defense. We have stretches where we play really unselfish offensively, set great screens, and then we get to the next game and we kind of have some slippage there. So we got to get to the point where we continue to be consistent, and again, that's expected for a team that hasn't been together for as long as needed to compete at a super high level every single game. But I do believe that I've seen stretches, and we just got to get back to that.
Were you surprised when Jim Lenard stepped down? And I don't know what your relationship has been with him over the last several years.
Mm-hmm. I do. I know Jim really well. Good man, New York guy. Actually he played high school basketball for a guy that I'm deeply indebted to in my journey in high school. A guy named Jack Kern, Archbishop Malloy High School. Always been a fan of Jim. I was surprised. I know how much he loves this game and the energy that he has on the sidelines. One of my assistants from Charlotte, became one of his assistants at Miami, and I definitely gave him, the endorsement, to go, work under Jim. A fantastic coach. So a lot of respect there, and I know how much. Honestly, I know how much he loves his game. I know how much he appreciated it. So I was definitely surprised when he stepped down.
What do you think about their struggles this season?
To be honest, man, I've been so focused on us that my, focus on Miami just started, last night. So as far as, Miami, I know they have a lot of talent on their roster, a lot of individual talent, a lot of physical talent. I don't know the reasons why they're struggling yet, but it'll be the study, and hopefully we could take advantage of, some of the things that we see.
After the game on Saturday, you kind of talked about how you wanted the team to kind of come out with more energy, more fire under them. So over the last few days, have you been kind of trying to get them there, or have you planned to do that before Wednesday?
We have been practicing that way. We have played some really good, defensive and offensive basketball. We have played motivated and inspired at times. How do you do that at the beginning? It's a psychological, I guess, study. But for us, is really having the energy that we had against Boston College, having the defensive presence that we had against SMU, and even as early as Tennessee. In the first half, like having that level of energy and connectedness. We like to say you got to be hyper defensively. We want to be hyper offensively. We want to sprint in transition. We're just going to continue to teach, emphasize, and demand those things of the guys, and let them continue to enjoy their ACC season.
And Isaac also talked about that after the game, how he kind of took responsibility too for not making sure the team was ready to go right away. So how have you just kind of seen the vets step up the last few days to get to that point?
This is a really important season for the guys that are, kind of on their home stretch. Tane Murray, for example, as a fourth-year guy, Isaac as a third-year guy who's been in the program for 3 years, legitimately has ownership of this space, and but it's just not natural for him to be vocal. He's more of a leader by example, which again you need both. It's not Isaac's responsibility to get guys rallied up. Guys have to rally up and step in and be ready to go, and but you can't create the environment, you can't demand it, you can't push it, and we'll continue to do that. None of the guys are, lulling. This is late January. Anybody knows, young guys in late January, inexperienced guys in late January, early February, this is where the season truly gets a toll on you. So you got to be able to manage your energy, come invested every day to being the best you can. And we'll just continue to encourage them and coach the young guys through that.
Jacob Kofi's coming off a career high. Where have you seen him kind of grow the most during this freshman year?
Yeah. Jacob's had an interesting, again, education to, the month of January. He and I had a conversation, the game at Louisville. And he was like, man, I feel tired. And I had to educate him on this is, the time of the year where a first-year guy who hasn't been through the grinds of a summer and an ACC season, kind of starts to feel it. So, we're coaching him through that, trying to find a routine for him. His ability to shoot the ball from the mid-range is, one of his biggest tools in his box, and we want him to use that. His ability to dribble and put the ball on the floor and get to the basket and maybe get to the free throw line. He's starting to understand, what he can do versus this level of competition, and he's just developing confidence.
For your guys, what's going to be the key for you guys to come out with a win on Wednesday down in Miami on the road?
I think for us, everything comes down to our defense. Offensively, as you saw, I go back to the SMU game. We didn't score the ball at a really high clip, but we defended well. We need to defend well so that we can have a chance. So that starts with transition. Then it finishes with ending the defensive possession with a defensive rebound. If I could just focus on those two things, I think that our defense will improve, and that's the biggest and number one key for us to have any success, not only this week, but also for the rest of the season.
Andrew Brody has kind of talked about over the last few games how he's just kind of feeling a lot more comfortable just playing out on the floor and how all the guys run on the floor and everything like that. So how have you just seen him grow over the course of this season so far?
I think for Andrew, it also has come down to confidence and trust. Andrew and I spent a lot of time together, and I think time and consistency develops trust. So I think he and I are in a space where we're on the same page, we're communicating well on the floor, off the court. He understands what the team needs, he understands his role, he's trying to play it at a high level, and he has worked really hard, so he has the confidence in his game from his hard work during the summer.
And you talked about Jim a bit there, but do you kind of have any sort of relationship with Bill Courtney too, just kind of both being coaches who are taking over a program after the legendary coaches have stepped down?
Yeah, Bill and I have been friends for a long time. We really haven't talked much about our current situations. I'm assuming that he's as focused on his team as I am on ours. And but I'm sure that I'll get a chance to catch up with him. But I have known Bill for a long time.
And for Miami, just what makes Matt Cleveland and Nigel Pack such good players offensively?
Well, physical talent. They literally can create off the dribble. They're athletic. They can put the ball in the basket. So those two guys in particular are just really gifted that way. And so that's their superpower, as I like to say.